Hi there, welcome to my mid-year reflections video. I'm really looking forward to this because do you know this feeling when it's already the middle of the year and you realize that you didn't check in on your goals that you set in the beginning of the year? I just had this moment a few days ago and I actually had a shock because I realized that it was already the beginning of September. How is it possible that time moves so fast? But yeah, however, it's actually a little bit too late for a mid-year reset, but I still really wanted to make this video also to just check in with myself again. And I actually already have like a little list in my head with things that I want to include into like my reset. You can do this however you want to. I will stretch my reset over a couple of days, and I also want to try to build habits again, but you can actually take one day aside, like a day on the weekend, where you really take time for yourself and take care of yourself also. So the things that I really want to include are, first of all, getting back into a habit of meditating. I had a phase in my life where I meditated almost daily. It was like 5 minutes in the morning, but I could really feel a shift in the way that I perceive reality. And yeah, I just want to get back into this feeling. And then I also want to include a journal session where I prepare some journal prompts and really do some inner work, some reflections. And another important step is to look at the goals that I set in January and to review them. This is a third step. Then I also want to include some like moving or some stretching into my reset. I just feel so stiff. I've been working every day in front of the computer, so I think it will be good for me to include some movement. And the best way would be if it's in nature. And then I also really want to finish my book I am reading currently. So yeah, there are a few things I want to check, and maybe I'm also going to set an intention for the rest of the year. So yeah, let's get started. So I actually started my reset with a face mask, and I got this as a gift from my Taiwanese friend, and the quality is just amazing. Even though it's just like a little act of self-care that doesn't take a lot of time, it still can shift my mood, and I love to put on a nice fresh face mask. And yeah, then I was finished. And whenever I put on a mask, I like to use that time for longer meditations. Here you can see me sitting down to meditate, and I love to stretch out my neck in the beginning of a good meditation. And I'm also rolling out my shoulders. I personally try to sit more in silence without any meditation audio, but sometimes when I prefer like a visualization or when my head is really noisy and it's just too hard for me to concentrate, I like to listen to a guided audio. There are so many sources here on YouTube as well, and I love to include a little stretch at the end of my meditation as well. After that, it was time for a good long journal session, and this is something I always look forward to. When I'm writing down on paper, I forget time, and I love to get into this flow state. Also, I must say, for me, journaling is the heart of any good reset. It's where things stop to swell in my head and start taking shape on paper. So here you can see my journal, and I really wanted to share some journal prompts with you that I love to do. So the first section that I wrote down were my highlights of the year so far. I love to start with highlights because it sets a grateful tone and it's just so positive. It reminds me that even in like busier month or harder month, there are always little moments that are worth remembering and that made me happy in any kind of way. Next, I reflected on my relationships. And this is also an important question. Which connection brought me joy? And which ones do I want to nurture more in the future? For me, this is so important because the people around us literally shape how we feel, how we grow, and what kind of persons we become. So, after reflecting my relationships and connections, I like to include this third reflection, which is a little table. And it's so easy to do. It just says more of this and less of this. It's very, very simple. On one side, you just write down what gives you energy and what lights you up. And on the other side, you can just write anything that you want to exclude out of your day-to-day life. It's things that drain you and that stress you, and it can even be like people or situations. It's just a reminder to make more space for the things that matter to you and that make you happy and give you energy, and to gently step away from what doesn't. Something else that I love to ask myself is, what am I proud of and what did I achieve in the past 6 months? And this isn't just about external or like really big achievements. It can also be like small goals or like small things that you yeah, you're proud of. And I find that when I write down what I'm proud of, I notice just how much progress I've already made and how far I've already come. We are constantly growing, but we tend to oversee the things that we achieved. So I think it's just important to hold on to that and to give yourself credit and cheer yourself up for all the things that you've already done. And lastly, I love to look ahead. How do I want to feel by the end of 2025? It's not just what I want to do, but also how I want to feel emotionally. And from there, I choose my three main goals for the rest of the year and I write them into my journal to make sure that my goals don't just stay as nice ideas in my journal. It's time for my weekly planner. And I was bullet journaling for a long time, but this year I actually grabbed a real planner again. And I love this calendar because it has a to-do list section on the monthly overview. So it's really easy for me to put my to-dos down, and then I even go on to my weekly overview where I then break down all my goals into small doable steps and small to-dos. And writing them down like this just makes them feel achievable again. A day later, I felt the need to move my body and to do some stretches. So I went into nature for this little yoga session, and I love to keep it free and improvised. When it comes to yoga or like any practice that includes stretching my body, I really don't like to stick to rules. I just listen to my body and stretch it in all the ways that feel good. I also love to listen to my own rhythm. When I have yoga instructors, it honestly sometimes is hard for me to follow because I like to take things slow. It's also very grounding to do this outside and to put my bare feet on the grass. So, something else that I really love to do when I'm checking in with myself or when I'm doing a reset is to visualize. I think visualizations can be so fun and also so powerful because they also add like this emotional part to it all. So, when I set my goals for the next few months, I don't only want to write them down on paper, I also really want to get into the feels. How do I want my life to feel like? And I just close my eyes and let all the images come to me. And you really have to use your imagination, but it's such a fun practice. And sometimes I'm even closing my eyes and I'm laughing because I feel so much joy. And yeah, it's just a little extra thing that I love to do. I also feel a lot of gratitude when I visualize because I see what I already have in life and all the things that are possible that are out there. And yeah, this is also a nice thing to include into like this mid-year reset to really focus on how your upcoming month should feel like. I also took some time to read my book. I didn't finish it, but I got a few chapters in. And one of my goals this year was to read one book every month. Between working full time and just living life, I didn't quite manage that. And that's okay. Not every goal has to be met perfectly, and the point is to enjoy the process and also not to pressure yourself into ticking boxes. I think we often put a lot of pressure on ourselves, but we have to remember that we were the ones setting the goals in the beginning. That's also why it's important to set realistic goals. And another thing that is really important for me to say in this mid-year reset video is that when we fall short of a goal, it doesn't mean that we failed. Maybe we just changed our direction a little bit, or there was something else to prioritize, and that is all fine. We really shouldn't pressure ourselves too much. And it's okay if life flows into a different direction or if we need more time. That is human and perfectly fine. Self compassion is always the way to go. Have empathy with yourself and don't be too harsh on yourself. So, the last thing that I wanted to do for this mid year reset was to set an intention for myself and the rest of the year. And my intention is gonna be consistency and consistency in like a soft way. I don't want to burn out and doing too many tasks at the same time. I also don't want to multitask. I don't think it's good for my brain, but I do want to stick to routines and I want to try to build in those habits into my day to day life and to really be consistent. And I actually love the fall season. And I also think there's something nice about winter when we can just really just turn inside. It has something special and something transformative as well. So I'm kind of looking forward to it. Yeah, but this was my mid-year reset. I really hope that you enjoyed this video and that you got inspired. And I hope to see you in my next one really soon. Bye!